Do you enjoy pollution, climate change, and terrorizing your local wildlife?
You got me.
Welcome to the stunning ocean planet of 4546b, home to a wide variety of plants, animals, and of course, flesh-eating bacteria. Thanks to my captain's amazing sailing, I'm now stranded on this alien planet. But don't worry, although I may have run out of luck, I have not run out of ideas. By breaking international environmental safety laws, I'll be able to exploit the native creatures of this land for my own benefit. Our goal? Just get off the planet. But to do so, I'll first need to steal this planet's resources, explore ancient buildings, and make my way far beneath the planet's oceans. All while the ship that got me here is pumping lethal amounts of radiation into everything nearby. But don't worry, I'm sure the wildlife doesn't mind. Can I escape this planet? There's only one way to know. Let's find out. I start off in a descending life pod escaping the crashing Aurora spaceship. But on the way down, a loose panel decides to give me late-stage headset dent and knocks me unconscious. I wake back up to find a fire has started inside the life pod, and after taking out the fire, I collect my PDA, which comes with an integrated AI voice that'll help me on my journey to get off this planet, and which will definitely not be annoying whatsoever. I climb out the life pod to find the Aurora has thankfully landed in one piece. But for now, it's too far away, so I decide to dive into the water and start exploring my surroundings, but run into a major problem. I'm currently on an alien planet that's surface is covered in 99% water, and I don't have a way to breathe underwater. And on a planet where everything is underwater, that's not good. So first things first, I need an oxygen tank. Using the fabricator found on my life pod, I should be able to build one, but to do so, I first need to find 3 pieces of titanium. But finding these pieces on my own seems hard and time consuming, so instead I'll just interrogate the local wildlife for information on where to find some. And after putting this half-sentient fish under severe mental duress, I get the titanium I need and build my first equipment upgrade, the standard O2 tank. With this, I'm able to collect resources much faster, allowing me to build more equipment such as the fins, giving me more movement speed, the higher capacity O2 tank giving me even more time underwater, and finally the repair tool, which I used to fix that broken panel from earlier, restoring power to the life pod. With power back online, I repair the life pod's radio and receive a message.
Hello? Hello?
It seems to be coordinates pointing to life pod 3, and with it being our only lead so far, I head over to investigate. But before leaving, I built the scanner, a device I can use to acquire blueprints from technology found all around the planet. I also built a knife to strengthen my future interrogation efforts and bleach, so that I stay, hydrated. After a short swim, I make it to life pod 3 and find the blueprint for something called a sea glide. But sadly, that's all I find, as there seems to be no signs of human life anywhere near the pod. And so I head back to my life pod and begin construction on the sea glide. Using the sea glide can make me swim much faster, which will allow me to go way deeper into the ocean, but it requires power. And with the sea glide built, I go exploring around the life pod but get alerted to another radio signal. This time for a trade ship that goes by the name Sunbeam. It seems the Aurora was able to let out a distress signal right before crashing, which it seems this ship has received. Maybe I won't have to wipe out the entire planet's ecosystem after all. They say they could get here in around a week, but I'll still keep working towards my goal to find another way off this planet just in case anything unforeseen happens. And after getting yet another radio signal, this time with the location of life pod 17, I head over to again find no signs of human life, but find a blueprint for the sea moth in an abandoned PDA with a voice log informing us that the Aurora has everything needed to build something called the phase gate. Could whatever this phase gate is be my way off the planet? Maybe, but to learn more I would have to explore the Aurora, and with the high levels of radiation in that area, I definitely wouldn't come out unscathed. So before exploring the Aurora, I'm gonna first need to build some protective gear. I head back home, built a fish prison to terrorize the local wildlife even more, and built the sea moth. With the sea moth constructed, I get a radio signal informing me of a grouping point that all survivors of the Aurora are supposed to go to. Is this why there was nobody at their life pods? Are they at the regrouping point? Sadly, the signal is corrupted, so it's not giving me the location of the regrouping point. But thankfully, my AI companion is able to find where the signal originated. And so I get in my new sea moth and head for the signal's location. But once I get there, I'm greeted with darkness. We use the sea glide to head down into the abyss and find an abandoned PDA with the coordinates to the regrouping point. And before leaving, I'm able to find the blueprint to the ultra high capacity O2 tank, but it looks like this little guy wanted it all to himself. How cute. With that thing's organs now atomized, I head back to the sea moth and head for the regroup point, which takes me to this floating island that looks to be supported by these huge living bubbles. I make it to the location and, surprise surprise, there's nobody here. I find a databank informing me that they left for the Aurora, but before reaching the ship, they were intercepted by him. Or, her. I don't know. Anyways, I spent some time exploring the island and found an abandoned shelter. Here I'm able to find the blueprint for the ultra glide fins, but more importantly, whatever the hell this is. I don't know what it's for yet, but it looks important, so I'm just gonna steal it. And right before leaving, I find this audio log left by the former residents of this island.
We should never have left this place. We shouldn't have gone so deep. They do not want us down there.
I don't think I have anything to worry about. I head back to my life pod, but find I'm running into a major storage problem, so I decide to build my first base. I found this cave earlier with these huge mushrooms, but haven't explored it yet, so I thought maybe the entrance to this cave could be a good base location. For now, I just built one big room and then spent 10 minutes looking for how I could build a door to get in. After conquering that monumental task, I built some lockers to hold all my materials, a couple solar panels to power the base, and the essentials, like the fabricator, radio, battery charger, and of course, a window, so that I could watch over this ocean and see it transform into the perfect planet. Oh, but it looks like my PDA has a message for me.
Detecting increased foreign bacteria levels in the water. Performing a self-scan is advised.
Alright, but I mean, I feel fine, so I don't know why I would.
Self-scan complete. Vital signs normal. Detecting trace amounts of foreign bacteria.
I do not like where this is going, but I should be okay. As an American, my health insurance overlords have bestowed upon me a power. The power to ignore my health issues. And so with this gift, I forget everything my PDA just told me and head down into the mushroom cave. But this expedition is short-lived as I run into a problem. The sea moth has a maximum depth of 200 meters, but this cave goes down to around 250. And so this means if I don't want to drown, I'm gonna need to modify the sea moth and increase its maximum depth. But to do this, I'm gonna need to build the moon pool, which requires a lot of titanium. Before leaving to collect the materials, I build the modification bench. This is where I build those blueprints I found earlier, but also where I build the thermal blade. Because if you're gonna stab something, the least you could do is cauterize the wound for them. I already have most of the materials for the moon pool, so all I need is 10 titanium. But as you could probably tell by my voice, I'm way too old to be working in the mines. And either way, it would take way too long to mine that much titanium. So what I'm gonna do instead is find and scan already known blueprints like the Sea Glide, which, for some reason, reward me with 2 titanium. By doing this, I'm able to get tons of titanium pretty quickly, allowing me to build the moon pool. Now, some of you might have noticed this timer and are wondering why it just randomly appeared. Well, before I left to collect the titanium, I got a call from someone very special. It was the captain of the Sunbeam, the trade ship from earlier that heard the Aurora's distress signal.
Aurora, we're approaching the planet now. We have a landing site for you that's, well, it's better than the alternatives.
They told me they were in orbit and should get here in around 40 minutes, which after building the moon pool and installing a sonar module into the sea moth leaves me with 13 minutes to get to the landing site. As I make it to the island, I notice a huge alien structure. I head for the entrance and I'm greeted by this terminal. This must be what that purple tablet I found earlier is for. Sadly, I didn't bring it with me, so I guess we'll never know what's behind this force field. Oh, there's just another here on the island. I place the tablet on the terminal and head inside. Heading down its winding corridors, I find this almost perfect cube. Scanning it tells me it's some type of battery, but with the Sunbeam's landing now imminent, I cut my expedition short as to not miss the show. I mean, my ride out of here. I head back to the surface, and with the Sunbeam only seconds away from landing, the alien structure begins to move. That's weird, but it doesn't concern me as I'm about to leave this planet anyway. Oh boy. With our only way off this planet now vaporized, I continue my journey into the alien structure. I find a weird looking computer, and from it I learn that this building is called the enforcement platform. Enforcing what exactly? I don't know. I also learned that I'm currently in the engineering section, and below me is the control room, which is said to have the only known way to interface with the facility. That's good. Maybe I could shut down this place so when it's time for me to leave, I don't end up like the Sunbeam. I head down this elevator, and on my way to the control room, I find what I assume is an armory, because I find some alien technology on display like an alien rifle, another purple tablet, another green cube, and of course, no alien armory is complete without a doomsday device capable of destroying the entire planet. Did I mention I found another purple tablet? I use the tablet to open this force field blocking the way, and behind it, I find the control room. I head to the interface, at which point this button pops up, and with no other things to interact with, I decide to press it.
The control panel is broadcasting a message. Translation reads, "Warning, infected individuals may not disable the weapon. This planet is under quarantine."
Oh, so that's why this building is called the enforcement platform. It's enforcing the quarantine. as we just saw. And as my PDA just said, infected people cannot turn off the device, so that means I'm stuck on this planet unless I could somehow cure myself or at least trick the machine into thinking I'm cured. But I'm not a scientist, so I have no idea how I'm gonna accomplish that. Thankfully, my PDA was able to translate some more data, which shows me the rough location of some more alien facilities. The one that catches my eye is the disease research facility. It says here they were working on an antidote for my disease, which they named Kara. They obviously didn't finish the antidote, as this planet wouldn't be under quarantine if they did. But with this being my best lead so far, I'm just gonna have to hope that they have something to help me out. But as some of you may have noticed, the facility is 800 meters underwater, and with my Seamoth's maximum depth being 200, I have a lot of upgrading to do. I leave the building through its moon pool, and before reaching the surface, I find 2 more purple tablets. I decide to explore the island a bit more and find an alien arch. As I get closer, this thing opens up and starts asking for one of those green ion cubes. It yanks one out of my hands and I get closer, and once I touch it, I begin to experience what it feels like to take every psychedelic known to man. Once my vision clears, I find myself in a completely different room. I make my way out to the surface and notice something familiar. This is the island where the Aurora's meetup was supposed to be. Guess I didn't do enough exploring on this island, because how did I miss this? I go exploring around the island a little bit more just to make sure I didn't miss anything, but after not finding anything new, I head back to the teleporter speedrunner style and head back home where someone sent me another message. Probably just another life pod location.
9 new biological subjects designated. Mode: hunting, analyzing, sharing subject locations with other agents.
What the hell was that? Did it say 9 new biological subjects? Are those supposed to be the survivors of the Aurora or something? And hunting mode? Is this part of the quarantine? Chat, I might be cooked. Nothing I could do now though, so I just continue my plan to explore the mushroom cave that I had before everything with the Sunbeam happened. I built an aquarium so the base feels a little bit more lived in, and then install a depth module into the sea moth, allowing me to now go down to 300 meters. With that, I head down into the mushroom cave and find an old rusted base. Inside, I find some audio logs informing me that this base belongs to the same people who lived on that island from earlier. Their ship, the Degassi, crash landed here years ago, and in their struggle to survive, they decided to leave the island we first saw them on and build a base 200 meters down. But this isn't where their story ends. I find an audio log informing me that they built another base 500 meters underwater and over a kilometer away. Okay, so what? Why does this matter to me? Well, in that same audio log, they say they were trying to figure out what shot them out of the sky and found something in that area on their scanner. Well, we already know what shot them down, and it's nowhere near that area, so maybe they found another alien facility. They could have, but I run into the same problem as before. The Degassi base is 500 meters down, and I can only go down to 300. So I'm gonna have to put that mission on the side burner for the moment. I go to leave the base, but start tweaking out. After that enlightening conversation with that butterfly-looking creature, I head back to the base and pick up another radio signal.
This is Altera HQ. This may be our only communications window. We can't send a rescue ship all the way out there, so Aurora, you're just gonna have to meet us halfway. We've uploaded blueprints to the ship's computer. Black box data shows the high-security terminal in the captain's quarters is still functional. The code should be 2679.
Finally, some actually good news. I was starting to think they forgot about us. I guess now it's a better time than ever to build a radiation suit and finally explore the ship. Thankfully, building the suit isn't too hard, so I get that done pretty quickly and head for the Aurora. I make it onto dry land, and after taking out way too many of these crab-looking things, I make it into the ship and find myself at a fork in the road. To the left, the cargo bay, and the right, the administration office. I head right, but it's a dead end, and all I find is a databank with the code to the cargo bay door. I head for the cargo bay, but find the way is blocked by a bunch of boxes. I tried jumping over them, but that was not happening, so I thought of another plan. I head back home to build the propulsion cannon, and with it, I'm able to pick up the boxes with ease. Inside the cargo bay, I find the blueprint to the prawn suit and find the drive room. This seems to be the area all that radiation is leaking out of. I could fix it pretty easily with my repair tool, but nah, I'm good. I have my radiation suit. If the fish want to fix, they can do it themselves. And finally, I find the blueprint Altera HQ was talking about, the Neptune escape rocket, a ship capable of getting us to the nearest phase gate, which seems to be some type of portal generator that could get us across the galaxy. With the blueprints on my PDA, I make my way back home, but not before exploring the new biome I found and getting way too close to drowning. I make my way back home and begin construction on the Neptune launch platform and the Neptune gantry. With these two complete, I'm now able to start construction on the actual rocket, but the thing is, the next piece, the Neptune booster, requires nickel ore, and I have no idea where to find that. So I'm gonna have to hold off on building the rocket until I can find where to get some, which is fine because if you remember, that huge laser is still active, and I'd rather not get obliterated. So for now, my main objective is to find the cure to Kara, and if I happen to find the materials for the rocket, I'll make sure to collect them. For now, I'll head over to explore the Degassi base found 500 meters down, but to do so, I'll first need to upgrade the Seamoth. I already have most of the materials needed, but this upgrade requires enameled glass, which itself requires stalker teeth. So to get some, I head over to my local stalker neighborhood and start assaulting them until they drop a tooth. Which, I don't even know if that's how you're supposed to do it, but I found some teeth on the ground, so it worked out either way. I head home, build a water filtration unit so I don't get dehydrated, and the Seamoth upgrade. With that, I head over to the Degassi base where I find an audio log showing me that these people were also infected with Kara and were trying to find a cure, but don't get your hopes up. Sadly, this base was destroyed by a Leviathan, and from what I could tell, the only survivor was the person on the audio log we found on the island.
They do not want us down there.
The only other thing of note on this base is another alien tablet, but this time it's orange. I went exploring around the area, but without the Seamoth since its maximum depth is now 500, but yet again, it is not enough to explore deeper into the cave. I found this huge area with this green sludge that hurts for some reason, but out of fear of drowning, I hold off on exploring further until I can upgrade the Seamoth again. I exit the cave, leaving a beacon so that I can find my way back, and head home where I get another message from my hunter friend.
Destroyed. Mood. Patrol. New targets unaccounted for. 1.
Aw, how sweet. He didn't forget about me. After having that nice chat with my friend, I head north to check on Life Pod 2, which is conveniently also at a depth of 500 meters. As I'm exploring the area around Life Pod 2, I find this cave.
Local scans show a nearby opening, leading to a biome with extensive fossilized remains.
Extensive fossilized remains, huh? That's what the datapad said the disease research facility was near. This has to be where the facility's at, but just like the Degassi base, the cave goes way too deep and I don't want to drown, so I'm gonna save it for later. But before leaving, I'm able to find some nickel ore for the Neptune booster. I make it home, build the booster, having the next part on the list be the fuel reserve, and then with all the titanium I collected while I was out, I build the prawn suit, which I'll talk more about later, and the final Seamoth upgrade, bringing its maximum depth all the way down to 900 meters. Now with the fully upgraded Seamoth, I head back to the cave I think the disease research facility is near, but this time not forgetting to bring an orange and purple tablet just in case. While exploring the cave, I find a hidden room behind a waterfall and go through this force field that seems to be holding the water back. I explore the cave on foot and find another teleporter, but sadly this one doesn't seem to allow me to insert an ion cube to turn it on. With proof the aliens did in fact build in this cave, I head back to my Seamoth to see if I can find anything else, but run into a massive problem. This Leviathan must have seen me enter the cave and was waiting for me. With it just waiting at the cave's entrance, I have no idea how I'm gonna escape. You are mine! But it turns its back for a split second, and that's when I jump out and get in my Seamoth. As I try to leave, it sees me and charges, nearly missing me. I hightail it out of there, and thankfully it loses interest. I go much deeper into the cave where I find some alien pillars in the distance. I follow them to find the disease research facility. Heading inside, I find an alien terminal where I learn that aliens exposed a peeper to something called enzyme 42. After exposure, they noticed the effects of Kara began to go away, but don't get your hopes up. It says that not long after, the symptoms came back. And wait, death commonly occurs within 4 days? How long have I been here again? Uh-oh. That's a peeper though, so I should be able to live longer, right? It also says that a species of Leviathan they called a Sea Emperor had some potential for Kara immunity, and apparently they were even able to capture one in another facility 1,400 meters down. I continue exploring the facility where I find a terminal with a full profile on the Kara bacterium. Here we learn that Kara isn't even from this planet. The aliens, while exploring the outer reaches of their empire, were exposed to Kara and spread it to every planet they inhabited, which resulted in the deaths of over 143 billion of their people. And in an effort to find a cure, the aliens set up a bunch of research facilities on different planets, this planet being one of them. But as they were looking for a cure, a Leviathan caused a breach in this facility which let Kara out into the ocean, infecting the planet. And that's when the aliens were forced to put a quarantine on the entire planet in the hopes to stop the spread of Kara. Now I finally understand why they took the quarantine so seriously. I also learned that Kara has 4 stages. The first being gradual immune system failure, the second being green skin lesions and flu-like symptoms. Stage 3 seems to be unpredictable, and stage 4 being, well, death. The good news is, it looks like I'm still in stage 1 as I don't seem to have any... Oh, wait, my PDA has a message for me.
You're going to hell.
Well, the good news is, it looks like I just hit stage 2, so I still got one more stage to try and find a cure. And finally, while exploring, I find a half-built enforcer unit. Also called a warper, it seems like these things are the origin of that robot voice that's been threatening me over the radio. It looks to be a bioengineered creature which has been cybernetically enhanced by the aliens to be able to teleport. With that, I leave the facility and continue exploring the cave. I find a hole that goes even deeper, but with the Seamoth already being fully upgraded, that means I'm gonna have to finally bring out the prawn suit. So I head back home, but not before picking up some sulfur for the rocket fuel reserve and finding the final blueprint needed for the Cyclops. Once I make it home, I drop off all my materials and decide that before exploring that huge hole I found, I would finish exploring that cave I found near the Degassi base. I make it back to the cave where my Seamoth gets EMP'd, but before I can even get my bearings, I get teleported out by him, one of the hunters. I pull out my trusty thermal blade and start swinging. For being a hunter, these things sure are easy to scare off. I scurry back to the Seamoth, but not before more trouble finds me. The hunter's friend appears. Looks like this is the thing that EMP'd my Seamoth. But just like the hunter, with just a few swings, I scare it away. With them gone, I beeline it to the green pool I found earlier before any more show up. Not that far from the green pool, I find an alien structure. A force field requiring the orange tablet I found at the Degassi base. I place the tablet, and inside, I find a terminal which shows me the aliens were researching how to hatch alien eggs. But why were they focusing on eggs during a pandemic? I don't find anything else explaining why, but I'm sure we'll find out more later. I continue exploring the cave, but notice something familiar. Is that the disease research facility? After checking inside, I confirm that it is, but that could only mean one thing. The cave near the Degassi base and the cave near LifePod 2 somehow connect. Looks like this cave is way longer than I thought. With that realization, I find my way back home and start getting the prawn suit ready so that we can find out what's in that hole. But there's a reason I haven't been using the prawn suit until now. It is incredibly slow. Unlike the Seamoth, the prawn suit can't swim. It gets around by walking on the ocean's surface, which makes it much harder to go long distances. That's why I've been waiting for something. The Cyclops. Using the Cyclops, I'll be able to easily transport the prawn suit across the map. With the Cyclops built, I make a depth upgrade for the prawn suit, increasing its maximum depth to 1,300 meters, and a drill arm, which you'll see what it's used for in a second. I put the prawn suit in the Cyclops and drive it to the cave. And don't worry, I'm an excellent driver. I make it to the location and drop into the cave. While trying to find that hole from earlier, I get turned around and find a new area, some blue cove. I decide to explore it, where I find it goes down and connects to some volcanic region. And here is where I finally find this, a kyanite deposit. Using the drill arm upgrade, I'll be able to break down this big deposit into smaller pieces that'll fit into my inventory. With this kyanite, I'm now one material closer to building the rocket fuel reserve, but also now have all the materials needed to build the final prawn suit upgrade. So I head back up using the suit's limited jump booster, this time exiting from another location. Looks like the hole from earlier. I leave the prawn suit in a safe location and decide to use the sea glide to swim all the way back to base. But once I get there, I realize to build the upgrade, I first need the previous upgrade, which I forgot in the prawn suit. But that's alright. I found out you could actually build a modification bench inside the Cyclops. And so I filled my inventory with all the materials needed and made my way back to the prawn suit, where I collected the old depth upgrade, allowing me to build the new one. With the new upgrade installed, that leaves the suit with a maximum depth of 1,700 meters. I head back down, and while exploring, I find this huge volcanic lake, and in the distance, I see an alien structure. And wait, what's that noise? Is that? Oh boy. I head for the alien structure and begin to have another schizophrenic episode.
I am what you seek. Want to help you.
Did it say help me? Well, I'm running out of options, so I'll take all the help I could get. But just as quick as it showed up, that ominous voice fades. And to make it even worse, it looks like while I was distracted, the Leviathan spotted me. I start running for the facility, almost getting hit by a fireball, but thankfully I make it inside safely. Inside, I find a force field, but I didn't forget my purple tablet this time. Hitting this dead end made me remember that data I got from the control room. It had two facility locations. The first one we already found, the disease research facility, but the other, the thermal power facility, is still yet to be found. It says it's in an area with intense volcanic activity. I don't think it could get any more volcanic than this. And it says it's at a depth of 1,200 meters. I may have gone a little too far down. I retrace my steps, and sure enough, it looks like I missed an alien facility hidden behind some volcanic geysers. I make it inside, where I find a force field. Behind that, I find the blue tablet. But that's not all. I also find a power plant that's been powering all the alien facilities we visited so far. And don't get any ideas. After scanning the room, my PDA says that the electricity being transferred to the alien structures is uninterruptible. So no, I won't be able to turn off the laser from here. Which, after all we've learned about Kara, I don't think it's a good idea to leave this planet anyways without a cure. Before leaving, I also find a terminal with the blueprints to an ion battery and ion power cell, which will allow my tools to last much longer, but more importantly, allow me to build the final piece needed to build the Neptune fuel reserve. I head back to the blue facility, and after a close encounter of the third kind, I'm able to turn off the force field and head inside, where I find an ion cube fabricator, which will give me an infinite amount of ion cubes. Ahead of that, I find another force field requiring another blue tablet.
What the hell?
But thankfully, now that I already found one, I have the blueprint to create another. I also find a terminal on enzyme 42, the enzyme we learned about in the disease research facility, the one that was able to cure the peeper for only a moment. Here we learned that a Leviathan species on this planet was able to create this enzyme 42 within their stomachs. And the aliens were actually able to capture one in this facility, but because of its old age and its health quickly deteriorating from being in containment, the enzyme it produced was not strong enough to permanently cure Kara. And after the quarantine started, they stopped all research into enzyme 42. Okay, it looks like this enzyme is our main lead. I'm sure we can learn more behind the blue force field, so I head home using a portal I found inside the facility that luckily teleports me not too far from my base. And with the blue tablet constructed, I decide that since I'm already here, I might as well build the final 2 ion power cells needed for the fuel reserve and finally finish this section of the ship. With the fuel reserve complete, the next section on the list is the Neptune cockpit. With that, I head back to the alien facility and open up the force field where I find a pool of water.
Why are you blue?
I jump in and get greeted by a Leviathan. So this is the Leviathan that creates enzyme 42 within its stomach. Can't believe it's still alive. Thankfully, the Leviathan doesn't seem aggressive, so I begin exploring the area where I find a sand-covered portal and a group of the Leviathan's eggs connected to an incubator that can be powered on with an ion cube. I guess this is why the aliens were researching so many eggs. Once I power the incubator, the Leviathan tries to make a deal with me. Turns out she's the origin of that voice in my head and says she'll teach me how to hatch the eggs if I allow them to escape into the wild by powering on the sand-covered portal. I agree to help, but not because of any ulterior motives or anything. I'm just nice like that. After agreeing, she clears the sand from the portal and I power it on, at which point she teaches me how to create the hatching enzymes needed to force the eggs to hatch. To make it, I'm gonna need to collect many different plant samples from all across the ocean. And so I head back to my sea moth to begin collecting the samples. First being the sea crown, then a ghostweed, an eye stalk, a tree mushroom, and finally a bulb bush. With that, I head back home and create the hatching enzyme. I make it back to the eggs, inserting the enzyme into the incubator, and with the eggs hatched, the baby sea emperors begin to spit out pure enzyme 42. I get close and reach my hand inside where I begin to absorb the enzyme. So now I should be cured, right? To test it out, I head back to the enforcement platform and interface with the control panel. And just like that, I'm cured. With the control room powered off, not only does that confirm I'm cured, but also the planet's quarantine is now finally disengaged. Now, once the Neptune rocket is complete, nothing is stopping me from leaving this planet anymore. I head back home and begin construction on the Neptune cockpit, which is surprisingly easy to make. The only new part is the Cyclops shield generator, which requires polyaniline, which itself requires hydrochloric acid. So to make some, I need some deep shroom, which I got way back when I first explored near the deep cave entrance. With that, I finished the polyaniline, the advanced wiring kit, and for the power cell, I found an old, almost empty one I found in storage. I'm sure the ship won't mind. And finally, I build the shield generator and complete the final piece of the Neptune rocket. And now with the ship finally complete, I make my way up using the gantry and turn on every system inside the ship. With everything online, there's only one more thing to do. I'm able to send out a time capsule to help those who might also be stranded somewhere on the planet. Inside, I leave my trusty tool so that hopefully one day they'll help somebody else survive. And finally, I leave a message for whoever finds this time capsule.
Robert, it goes down.
No, it don't.
It do go down.
Oh!
Hopefully that message could help them survive. And with the time capsule engaged, that leaves nothing else but to say goodbye to the Aurora and start the engines to finally get off this planet.
Ready to launch on your command, Captain. Launch in 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Time capsule jettisoned. Caution, approaching orbital debris field.
orbital debris field clear. Performing gravity turn maneuver. Confirm destination coordinates. Nearest interstellar phase gate. Engaging ion boosters in 3, 2, 1.
Welcome home to All Terra. Permission to land.
And with that, I completed my goal to get off that planet and make it back home, leaving the local wildlife a little worse for wear. If you enjoyed the video, don't forget to like. And if you want to be notified when I upload again, don't forget to subscribe and hit the bell. Either way, thanks for watching.
Seek fluid intake immediately. The local cave system fluid settle immediately.